yesterday, there was a little bit of relief, maybe temporal, but the Nigeria Customs Service says that it has suspended the implementation of the 4% free on-board FOB charge on import as stipulated in the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023. This decision follows some consultation, they say, with the Minister of Finance, Mr. Lawale Edun, and other stakeholders. I'm sure you've seen NECA and all others talk against it. The suspension, they say, allows for further engagement on the implementation framework and align with the expiration of contracts with service providers. It also provides an opportunity to review the customs revenue framework. The Customs Service Act 2023 aims to address funding gaps by consolidating customs revenue sources and modernizing operations through digital solutions such as risk management systems, electronic data exchange, and non-intrusive inspection. A new implementation timeline will be communicated after stakeholder consultations. Well, we are still staying with the customs this morning. We want to talk about Authorized Economic Operator Program. It's one of their programs, and we have joining us from our Abuja studio the Deputy Controller General, Tariff and Trade Department with the Nigeria Custom DCG, Caroline Niagwan, joins us, as well as the National Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Customs Service, Assistant Controller of Customs, Abdullahi Maywada. Good morning, officers, and thank you so much for coming on Business Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good to have you. So let's start with DCG, Caroline. Tell us about what this program is about. I'm sure for some viewers, perhaps this is the first time they're hearing about it.
Thank you. The Authorized Economic Operator Program, AEO, is actually an initiative of the World Customs Organization, WCO, under the Safe Framework of Standard. It aims to enhance the security of the international supply chain as well as facilitate legitimate trade. Importers are given this status when they meet specific safety and security standards. They are known as trusted importers who have been compliant and reliable. And there are several benefits that come with this status. And these benefits include expedited customs clearance, simplified customs procedures, as well as reduction in cost of clearance. It also allows the importers to have enhanced trade opportunities.
All right, so let me come to PRO now. I hear that different categories of it. Could you tell us the different categories and how businesses can benefit from these categories?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me start by saying, as a rider to what my DCG have said, the essence of AEO is to fast track, to give preferential treatment, to give VIP treatment to compliant traders. So we have two broad categories of AEO. We have AEO simplified, and because the essence is trade facilitation, and if you get the definition of trade facilitation, it's about some elements: simplification, standardization, harmonization, automation of custom processes and procedure. So that element of simplification, that is what gives the first category of AU, that is simplified AU. And the other category is about safety and security. Now, the AU that has to do with safety and security, if you remember, the DCG said, gave a background about the safe framework of standard, security of supply chain, and so on. So the AU get its own history back to the September 11 attack, and which led to a program developed by WCO in 2005 that led to the emergence of this kind of program. So we have two broad categories: AUO simplified, which is about simplification, then AUO security and safety. Thank you.
All right, you talked about the World Customs Organization, and we know that the issue of trade now doesn't seem very friendly globally because of some pronouncements by President Donald Trump. What are their perspectives, talking about World Trade Organization, World Customs Service and all that? What are they doing? Are they already adopting this program that you're telling us about?
The AU,
Thank you. For the WCO, actually, this program is an initiative of WCO, but has also already been adopted by the World Trade Organization. It can be found in the World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement, where it is stipulated that fast clearance of goods are necessary for the goods to be released quickly. And in this same trade facilitation agreement, you have where customs have to collaborate with other government agencies on trade facilitation issues as well as compliance issues. So the World Trade Organization has adopted this very WCO initiative. That is why we have the AEO program also stipulated in the World Trade Organization Article 7.7, whereby all these parameters have to come to play together for the AEO to succeed. So the AEO program is actually a WCO and a WTO initiative.
Yeah, but if you could tell us how it's working there, maybe paint a picture for us. What countries are adopting it? How does it work with the WTO and the other customs services?
There are several countries like the UK, South Africa, Rwanda, Uganda are already doing this program. For the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, which Nigeria is a signatory, it allows for goods to be for trade facilitation, which is very, very important. As the volume of goods are increasing, so also customs administrations need to facilitate the movements of these goods. So it is an initiative that would allow compliant and reliable traders to be able to clear their goods quickly out of customs control. As long as they have been found to be reliable, to be compliant, they are trusted. So customs control is reduced. And that is how this particular program is done in all these countries. It is actually very necessary for us to facilitate trade because of the volume of trade that has grown globally.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we hear customs control is reduced, I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that because we know more interaction and more control, also leads to some lack of transparency. But let me go to the national PRO now to tell us status in Nigeria, the status of implementation of the AEO program in Nigeria. Where are we now?
Well, let me start by saying the status of AEO implementation in Nigeria can date back to what we are doing before the piloting of the current AEO. Initially, we don't have a legal framework that backed what we are doing. So we have a quasi form of AEO, which is called fast track. Fast track is not really an AEO, but it's also a trade facilitation tool which compliant traders are also leveraged to fast track the movement of their goods. Now, the new law, which is the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023, give us the power to carry out AEO. Now, if you look at Part 12, Section 108 to Section 112 of the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023 stipulated how AEO is going to be done, the guidelines of AEO, as well as what you need to do to get on board on those two categories of AEO. So now the first thing is to get the legal framework. Then the second issue is the political will. And the political will comes from the emergence of the Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adewale Edeni. He set up a technical working group from Customs, and those technical working group in collaboration with World Customs Organization, the World Bank Group, and so many agencies. We carried out so many diagnostic missions. We carried out benchmarking mission. We developed protocols for the AEO program. We developed a website for it, and we started piloting. And the piloting phase of that AU, which is a criteria for you to move into the main launching of AU, we started with 6 companies, and these 6 companies were drawn from different areas of trade, and they have shown some level of compliance. They have undergone a kind of rigorous audit process to make sure that they have financial solvency, and they can have channels of communication with customs, and they have a kind of a strong financial base. So we have done that. We have done the piloting, and for over a year, this pilot test is successful, and that is why we are preparing for effective or proper launch of the AU. So we have 6 companies in the pilot stage.
All right. So what do these companies or others, what do they stand to gain? Because I'm sure businesses listening to this conversation will ask, so what comes differently for me? What's my benefits?
Well, what they need to say is, one, as the DCG have stated, it's one, there will be reduction in control. Now, if you believe you have trust that trader is compliant, which means you are going to reduce the level of check, the level of inspection. You are going to give him preferential treatment in the port. They have designated lanes that they are going to follow, and expedited clearance of those goods. I think the main benefit is, which will in turn reduce the costs of clearance, because if you are able to release your good within some hours or within some days, while others that are not compliant would be subjected to rigorous check, will be subjected to proper inspection, which means reduction in that delay, simplification in the procedures, will enhance a kind of turnover in the business process. What they are receiving in summary is preferential treatment, is VIP treatment, is expedited release of their cargoes.
Yeah, DCG, doesn't this contrast or compete with the fast track regime? Because these are supposed to be some of the benefits of beneficiaries of fast track regime.
There is actually a difference between the fast track regime and the AU. For the fast track regime, the importers or beneficiaries are allowed to take their goods to their premises, but those goods are subjected to inspections. While for the authorized economic operators, their goods are not subjected to inspections because they have been profiled, they have been checked, their declarations have been looked at, and they have been seen to be reliable, they have been seen to be compliant, and we trust them. And these AEO beneficiaries also have integrity because they also disclose by themselves when they have infractions and then pay up the liabilities.
All right, so who are the stakeholders in the value chain of this program? Who are those concerned? Who are those who will make it work? Of course, led by the Customs Service.
The beneficiaries cut across several factors, such as importers, SMEs, freight forwarders, and logistic companies.
All right, and of course the businesses, but how can businesses initiate, if they want to be beneficiaries of this program? How do they get in? Where does it start from?
First and foremost, they start by applying. If they're eligible businesses, they apply to the customs to be adopted into this program. But they also have to meet some certain requirements, which are very, very important. They have to have demonstrated that they have met compliance and tax customs. They have been compliant to customs and tax requirements. For example, they must have been seen to have accurately completed and submitted documentations, which include commercial invoices, packing lists, certificate of origin. They must have also submitted declarations that have correct classifications, as well as paid their taxes and duties accurately and on time. And they must also have proper record keeping, with which they would have to quickly produce when customs decides to audit their companies. They are also required to have proven financial solvency. They must have financial guarantee. They must also maintain adequate security and safety standards, because the idea here is security of the international supply chain. So they must have maintained this safety and security standards in their companies. They must also have established a channel of communication between them and the service, where they would have to voluntarily disclose when they have infractions.
All right, DCG Caroline Yagwa, the Deputy Controller General, Tariff and Trade Department of Nigeria Customs Service. Thank you so much, as well as Assistant Controller of Customs Abdullahi Maiwada. He is the National Public Relations Officer of the Customs Service. Thank you so much, and we wish you the very best in the implementation of the program.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.